proceed looking on the type C of the tactic movement. Remember, we are discussing on the coordination in a plant. We have said that in the coordination in a plant, it exhibits only 3 kinds of coordination, or any 3 kinds of the movement. That is tactic movement, nastic movement, and the tropic movement. We start looking on the tactic movement. So on the types of the tactic movement, based on the nature or kind of the stimulation involved, the different types of the tactic movement or taxes can be identified. And now the tactic movement or the taxes are directional movement of an organism in the response to a specific stimuli. So hii inakuwa in the response to a specific stimuli. So here are the examples of different kinds of the types of the taxes, along with the explanation together with the examples. We have the first type of the tactic movement, that is phototaxis. So this phototaxis, the movement in the response to light. Inakuwa ni movement in the response to light. Kwa hiyo an organism anakuwa ana move kwenda kwenye stimulus ambayo inaitwa light. And within the phototaxis, we have 2 kinds of phototaxis. That is positive phototaxis, whereby organisms move toward the source of light. A good example, the monsters are attracted to a light sources, which is that is why they are often seen flying toward the straight light. So a good example, we have a monkeys. These monkeys, they are butterfly. They are kind of butterfly. They like to fly during a light time. So they move toward the light. A good example, pale ambapo nyakati za usiku umeme kama umekata, pale ambapo unakuwa umewasha tatu, wale organism wanakuja pale, wale tunasema kwamba they are positive phototaxis, kwa sababu they response or they are going toward the source of the light. And also we have chemotaxis. On the chemotaxis is where now we have a positive, we have this chemotaxis is the movement in the response to chemicals. So here hapa ni movement of an organism and the response to chemicals. We have also 2 types of chemical taxis, chemotaxis. And the first one, it is called the positive chemotaxis, is whereby an organism moves towards the chemical sources. For example, the sperm swim towards the egg cell attracted by a chemical signals. Kwa maana kwamba kwenye hii kind ya taxis ambayo tunaita chemotaxis, an organism can move toward another places due to the response of chemical. For example, here we have the sperm cells zina swim kwenda kwenye egg cell, kwa sababu kwenye egg cell they produce a chemical. Zile chemicals zinakuwa zina attract zile sperm cell so that it can enter into the egg. A good example, unaweza ukaangalia kwenye zile bryophytes. We are talking about Achegonia and the Antheridia. So those Antheridia, they produce chemicals so that it can attract the sperm cell. But negative chemotaxis is whereby organisms move away from the chemical sources. For example, bacteria may move away from harmful chemical like antibiotics. So hapa kwenye hii negative chemotaxis, an organism ana move away from the source of chemical. Kwa mfano huyu bacteria anaondoka kwenye sehemu ambapo anakuwa na antibiotics. Also, you can take an example, repellents, mosquito repellents. Pale ambapo mtu utakuwa umepaka ile dawa ya mbu, ile inayonukia dawa ya mbu zinaitwa mosquito repellents. Ukipaka zile mosquito repellents, yule mosquito ata move away from the source of the chemicals, since zile chemicals zinakuwa zinamuaffect, so hataweza kukaribia ile repellent, so ataondoka. So that is we can say that negative chemotaxis. And also we have another kind of tactic, that is geotaxis. Geotaxis. But this geotaxis is the movement in the response of gravity. Is whereby positive geotaxis, we have this one is the response toward the gravity. inaweza ikawa away or toward the gravity. A good example here we have positive geotaxis is whereby organism move downward toward the Earth's center of a gravity. A good example we have the roots of a plant growing downward due to the gravity. So hapa mti unakuwa, kwa mfano ile mizizi inakuwa ina grow kwenda chini, na kule chini ndiko tunasema kwamba it is the center of a gravity. A negative geotaxis, organism move upward against the gravity. A good example here we have a shoot of a plant growing upward against the gravity. So the shoot, it will go against the gravity. That is a negative chemotaxis. But the shoot, the root are the positive geotaxis. That is, they grow toward the center of the gravity. We have another kind of the taxis, that is aerotaxis. This aerotaxis is the movement in the response of oxygen. So the movement of an organism in the response of oxygen. Also we have two kinds of aerotaxis. So the first one, it is called the positive aerotaxis, is whereby organisms move toward the area with the higher oxygen concentration. For example, some bacteria move toward the area with the more oxygen which is necessary for the respiration. So kuna some bacteria wanaweza wakaishi sehemu ambapo kunakuwa na higher concentration of oxygen. For example, within a tissue, within the lungs. This bacteria can affect it. It's due to the ability to live within the higher concentration of the oxygen. But also we have another one, that is negative aerotaxis. An organism move away from the area of the higher oxygen concentration. A good example, some aerobic bacteria may move away from the oxygen-rich environment. Kwa kuna bacteria wengine ambayo they respire anaerobically, with the absence of oxygen. So these organisms, they have ability to escape in the region where there is a higher amount of oxygen. So that are the negative aerotaxis. And also we have another one, that is magnetotaxis. So tukisema magnetotaxis, this is a movement in the response of magnetic field. So an organism can move away or can move toward the region where there is a magnetic field. A good example here we have the positive magnetotaxis, whereby organism move toward the magnetic field. For example, some bacteria have magnetic crystals that allow them to align themselves with the earthly magnetic field, which help them to navigate. So this is a good example. Bacteria that have a magnetic crystal, they attach themselves in the area where there is a magnetic field. But also we have a negative magnetotaxis, is whereby organisms move away from the magnetic field. A good example, some species of bacteria can be observed to move away from the magnetic field since they lack magnetic crystals. So they they move away from the source of magnetic field. Lastly, we have the rheotaxis. So what is this rheotaxis? Rheotaxis is a movement in the response of water current. So an organism can move toward the region of where there is a water current, or can move away from the area where there is a water current. We have the positive rheotaxis and the negative rheotaxis, whereby in the positive, organism may move upstream against the current. A good example, we have salmon migrating upstream toward the swamp or spawn swimming against the current. So these organisms, they are moved toward the region where there is a high amount of water. So a good example here, you can see that is a salmon organism that can move into the upstream. But we have another one, that is negative rheotaxis. In the negative rheotaxis is whereby organisms move downstream with the current. organism move downstream with the current, meaning that and go against the water concentration or the water current. Example here, you can see an aquatic insect drift downstream with the current allowing them to disperse to a new location. For example, the insects which are found within the water. So those organisms, they tend to move away from the water current, meaning that from the waves, so that it can harm themselves. Kwa hiyo sasa hao organism ambao tunawaita aquatic insect, they move away from the region where there is a water current. And when we are talking about water current, meaning that that is the region where there is waves or tides. So these organisms, they tend to move away from the region of where there is a high water current. So those are the types of the tactic movement. So my students, I would like to invite you again into the next session, is whereby we are going to see another kind of the movement that a plant or an organism can possess, and that is the nasty movement. And by saying so, thank you for following us, Educare TZ, and bye-bye. Have a nice moment.